This company just reported one of the bigger quarters I've seen from it in quite some time. And I mean, this Canadian stock is effectively putting up big tech type growth without operating in the technology sector at all. We have revenue up 42%. We have operating cash flows up 112%. We have earnings up 65% year over year. We have EBITDA margins in the 90% range, and we have absolutely zero debt on the balance sheet. In this week's bull versus bear case, I'm going to be going over Franco-Nevada. Now, if you're not interested in the gold sector at all due to its volatility, I strongly urge you to watch this video start to finish, because Franco-Nevada has exposure to this sector like you haven't seen from a typical miner. And if you're interested in learning more about this company, especially with the just absurd amount of growth it's posting right now, you're going to want to watch the whole thing. As always, everybody, head down below to the description to grab my top 4 holdings. I do own Franco-Nevada. Is it a top 4 holding? You can find out in just a few seconds down in the description. And as always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. Let me know what company you want me to go over next. So what exactly is Franco-Nevada? Well, they are a gold company, but they are a royalty and streaming company. So what this means exactly is the company will finance or give financing to a miner to operate a mine, developmental costs, exploration costs, things like that. They will give the company money, and in turn that company gives Franco-Nevada either a royalty off that revenue, so a certain percentage of top line revenue, or a streaming agreement which allows Franco-Nevada to purchase gold, silver, even oil and gas at a particular price point for the foreseeable future, typically locked into a long-term contract. So what this allows Franco-Nevada to do is to get exposure to the price of gold, the price of oil, a whole ton of precious metals, commodities, without actually having to incur any of the operating costs. If we think about a traditional miner, they're exposed to the fuel costs, the labor costs, the equipment costs. We have environmental situations, bad weather that can impact, the overall margins of the company, whereas Franco-Nevada simply takes top-line revenue in terms of royalties. It collects that royalty ultimately for providing financing for getting the mine off the ground, helping them with operations, things like that. So it is a lot more steady business model. And this is why you see margins as high as they are. But let's move on to the bull case. The first bull case for Franco would be, as what I've mentioned, it is getting that gold out of the ground and benefiting from it without any operating costs. So typically their royalty streaming is on a top line basis. So if a company generates $1 million in revenue and Franco-Nevada has a 10% royalty deal, and keep in mind, I'm making these numbers up for simplicity, they will get $100,000. Now, that does not matter if the gold miner itself, if it took $500,000 to get that gold out of the ground or $800,000 to get that gold out of the ground. Ultimately, Franco-Nevada just gets that top line revenue, no operating costs. The miners bear the brunt of that, which is why they typically have very volatile margins, whereas Franco-Nevada does not. As I had mentioned, this results in a 90% EBITDA margin, which is just outstanding. A lot of the royalties that this company generates are effectively pure profit. The company's streaming and royalty portfolio is the most diverse out of any in the country. Yes, it does have exposure to oil and gas, which ultimately hasn't helped it all that much right now because of a lagging oil and gas sector. But when we look to the streamers overall, its more diverse portfolio likely sets it up for lower volatility, because let's say gold starts to dip and oil starts to recover. It will kind of take a hit on the gold streaming royalty side of business, but it will benefit on the oil side. If we look to this chart of Franco-Nevada's streaming profile, royalty profile versus Wheaton Precious Metals, we can see it has a lot more diversity, which ultimately should shelter it from as much volatility and kind of reduce its dependence on particular precious metals by kind of diversifying into that oil and gas sector. The third bull case would be the balance sheet, and I think this is really, really underrated here. The company holds no debt and has over $1.2 billion in cash. So what this will allow it to do is secure new streaming agreements with cash on hand. So it will not have to finance that money to give to the miner. So effectively, it's not paying any interest on the financing it gives to the miner, which ultimately leads to higher profits. This company has taken out debt in particular instances to operate financing agreements, but it has paid it down relatively quickly. It usually nails it down in a year or two after securing the deal. This company's balance sheet will allow it to be very, very flexible moving forward and might allow it to take on more deals than other companies, primarily because it's just cash cost. It's not paying interest on the debt to finance. It's just cash out of pocket, and the deals then earn royalties right off the bat with no added cost. The final bull case would be the Cobre Panama deal. So this was a mine that got shut down in 2023 that made up around 20% of Franco-Nevada's EBITDA. The company has written off the mine. It says it does not expect it to come back online, but this was a year or so ago. Now it is getting much more upbeat about the potential restart of the mine, and the president of Panama has actually said he is open to discussing reopening the mine. If this does come true, we will likely see a material increase in Franco-Nevada's EBITDA that should drive further results. Now, is the market pricing some of this in? I'm not exactly sure, but we have to take into account that Franco-Nevada, when the mine closed down, did take around a 20% hit in terms of share price because of that 20% drop in EBITDA. If this mine restarts, there is a high likelihood that it does see 20% upside from that mine reopening, which is definitely a wild card here right now. I don't own the company because of this, but it is just kind of a cherry on top if it does happen. Now, the bear case, Franco-Nevada has an outstanding management team, but the difficulty here is because it is a streamer, it ultimately does not have any control on the streaming agreements that it has with the mines. It does not control the mine's operations. Ultimately, it just gives the mine the financing it needs to operate, and ultimately the miner could botch this, which could ultimately impact revenue and thus Franco-Nevada's royalties overall. It is exposed to the management teams of the companies and the mines that it finances. It has no control over this. It theoretically could do nothing wrong, but the company that it is financing could kind of slip up and ultimately cost Franco-Nevada money. Competition would be another bear case. So as more and more streamers come online, we have Wheaton Precious Metals, we have Sandstorm Gold. There's a multitude of gold and oil and gas streamers. Competition would ultimately result in lower royalties. If you think about it, this is fairly simple. If you have two companies competing for the same mining contract, ultimately the one that offers the lower royalty, the lower access to financing for the mine, is probably going to be the one that locks down the deal. So the more heightened competition, the more difficulty Franco-Nevada will have unlocking higher royalties. I don't see this as a gigantic issue, but it is an issue nonetheless because of these other major streamers. The final bear case, geopolitical uncertainty. This is, we don't need to really look much further than the Cobre Panama mine to understand what can happen to this company with its streaming agreements in jurisdictions that are a little bit more volatile. When we think of safe mining jurisdictions, Canada, the United States, Australia, things like that, there's a high likelihood that the mines continue to operate as normal. There's not going to be any sort of large geopolitical conflicts that shut a mine down. But the Cobre Panama situation, that was a little bit different of a story. They shut the mine down. There was a lot of protests due to the overall environmental impact of the mine, things like that. So in environments like this, you can see further shutdowns. And ultimately, when a mine gets shut down, its revenue goes to zero. And then as such, Franco-Nevada's royalty goes to zero. This is something you cannot prevent in an industry like this. Their portfolio is so diverse that I really don't think this is a massive issue. It just so happened that the Cobre Panama just happened to be one of the company's larger streaming agreements, which ultimately ended up getting hit. But it is an issue you need to keep in mind because it could happen to further mines. Or on the flip side, we could get the Cobre Panama mine back up and running. That is never a guarantee. And if it never does get back up to mining, we're talking about a 20% hit that Franco-Nevada took 2 years ago. So that is an issue as well. Overall, I'm a huge fan of the company. I do believe that streamers are the best way to own exposure to gold. Yes, miners do offer a lot more upside because ultimately they benefit much more from the rising price of gold because they get the vast majority of that revenue increase in rising price of gold, but they are exposed to those operating costs. So they will need to not only benefit from an increased cost of gold, but they need to kind of keep operating costs stable. And during a bear market, when gold starts to fall, those miners are ultimately exposed to the vast majority of that fall in gold, where Franco-Nevada's royalties, yes, they do take a hit, but they don't take all that big of a hit because they're not exposed to the operating costs. If gold falls by 50% and a gold miner's revenue, in theory, falls by 50%, their operating costs are likely not falling by that much, which will hit margins in a big way, whereas Franco-Nevada kind of just keeps that margin profile because they're just getting that royalty. When we look to the last gold bear market from 2012 to 2019, Franco-Nevada returned nearly 300% over that time frame, even though gold was in a absolutely brutal environment. When we look to a company like Barrick Gold from 2012 to 2019, the company lost 42%. This kind of highlights to you the element of a streamer versus a miner. I do believe that Franco-Nevada is the best in class streamer in North America, and it's one I do plan to hold long term. So everybody, hope you liked the video. Head down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Again, grab that report down below on my top 4 holdings in my portfolio, my thesis, my allocations, my overall risks I feel could be present with these companies. It takes just a few seconds and you'll get it delivered absolutely free. And as always, everybody, stay tuned for more great Canadian content.